Back here, first things first, we're going viral. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs got the win over the Chargers last night with the game taking place in the high altitude of Mexico City. Mahomes got to show off his arm. Check out the reigning MVP pregame. Spot shattered on the right of your screen. You're going to see him there throwing the ball 70 yards through the air.
I'll be honest, not that impressed.
What?
Well, what do you want to see?
We've seen him throw it 67 yards in the air in a dome. This is at 7,000 feet, high altitude.
I don't care if it was in 10,000 feet to throw the ball 70 yards in the air.
Yeah.
Like, that is impressive.
I think he was operating about 75% capacity. I think he could have gone goal line to goal line.
I think he can definitely throw it further. I've definitely had my share of playing with quarterbacks that can sling the ball.
How far do you think Rodgers could throw it? If
right now,
maxing out as far as yards in the air.
He can probably get you about 70, 65, 70 in the air.
I feel like you're shortchanging him even.
I don't know, man. He's getting a little older. He still can sling it.
Okay, at his apex, real quick.
At his apex? Oh, yeah, he can give you probably a good 80.
How about Marino at his apex?
Oh, probably we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Same boat. Marino could throw it behind the back. Marino could throw it left-handed. Marino could do all of it.
Stories to start your morning. Here we go. Luka Doncic putting on a show against the Spurs last night. 42 points, 11 rebounds, 12 assists. Becoming the second youngest player in NBA history to record a 40-point triple-double behind only Nick.
Oh, LeBron, of course.
LeBron, of course. Nick, how great was Luka last night?
Man, he got me on a lot of these lists with LeBron. And he is having a start to a career that really is only trumped by LeBron. This kid is spectacular. He has been NBA ready since he was 16 years old.
In that grainy footage we saw, remember that?
And if he's never, exactly right, if he's never improves 1%, if he can just maintain this, he will be a Hall of Famer. If he improves as I think he will be a multiple-time MVP. Watching him grow is going to be one of the joys of the 2020s.
Typically, when you have a player like Dirk Nowitzki hang it up and retire, you have a little dip, you have a lull, and everybody is saying, man, we miss Dirk. You don't hear that because of this guy. He is so special, and what I love about him more than anything is his mentality in the clutch. We talk about stars wanting the ball and being able to put the nail in the coffin when it matters. He has all of that. He has that killer mentality and killer instinct, almost averaging a triple-double on the season.
If Embiid can get it together in a few years, the three best players in the league might be from Greece, Slovenia, and Cameroon. The NBA, a global league.
All right, on to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Now, they beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, but it was another woeful performance from New England's offense. The Pats have scored just 3 touchdowns over the last 2 games. And Tom Brady admits he's very frustrated. Nick, how worried should the Patriots be right now?
The offense is the only thing that's preventing them from being the hands-down Super Bowl favorites. And this is Patriot fans that are always mad at me. To quote our friend LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow, you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to Tom Brady. Tom Brady is sounding the exact same alarms I'm sounding, which is the offense, especially when it is played viable competition, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Baltimore, is stuck in the mud. It's not all on Brady, but Greg, unlike years past, age 42, Brady is not able to elevate those around him enough to offset the lack of talent.
Yeah, and that's been my concern this year. Offensively, I don't believe in what they're doing, and if they can get it done, that's to be seen. However, Tom Brady, I don't think I've seen or heard him mention how bad his offensive unit has performed as much as I've heard and listened to him this year, which is a concern for me. When you look at how well their defense is playing, how they played at the end of last year to end that season, I don't like what I'm seeing out of Tom Brady or the guys around him.
All right, back to Monday Night Football last night. Chiefs and Chargers. Phillip Rivers struggled again this week. Chargers 37-year-old quarterback who turns 38 next month threw 4 picks in this one. He now has 14 on the season. Here is Phillip Rivers on his turnovers after the game.
If you could just pick and choose and never throw them ever, I'd choose to throw 0. So certainly don't want to throw them, but certainly I know it's hurting us right now. So, you know, obviously need to cut them out.
think that's a pretty fair assessment. Judging
I would rather
by what
throw
he
0
said.
than 4.
Yep, than 4. Is it time, Nick, for the Chargers to move on from Phillip Rivers, whether they do so or not?
Well, I mean, by time, we don't necessarily mean like
not right
13,
this second, but by next season.
By next season. It would be in their best interests. They were smart in not giving him a contract extension prior to this season, so they have the flexibility to move on from him if they'd like to. And I think all of us, media, football fans, maybe even players, have been tricked a bit by something unprecedented that's happening. It feels precedented because it's happening simultaneously, and that is Drew Brees and Tom Brady continuing excellence into late 30s, early 40s, as is in the case with Brady. Brady, we just talked about, is having a bad year, but at age 41, league MVP. Last year was a top 10 quarterback. If you look at the last 40 years of NFL history, forget year 20, guys that have been really good in year 16 or later, here's the list. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, John Elway. That is the full list for year 16 or later. And so what do all those 5 guys have in common? Those are 5 of the 10 greatest quarterbacks ever. Brady, Brees, Elway, Favre, and Peyton Manning. So to expect, look around Phil Rivers' draft class, Greg. Eli Manning, he benched, probably a couple years too late. Ben Roethlisberger, elbow popped. Phillip Rivers, 7 picks in 2 games. The idea that we are just going to have, all of a sudden, 40's the new 30 in quarterbacking in the NFL. No, it's not. We might think that because Brady and Brees have continued their excellence later than anyone could have expected. But for mere mortals, even if those mortals are Hall of Famers, some people would argue Eli, Ben, and Rivers are all Hall of Famers. Man, once you get past year 15, there is not a lot of precedent for continued excellent play at that position.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the soundbite really quick because I definitely believe you move on from Phillip Rivers. But listening to him, even in the soundbite, he didn't take full ownership of what was clearly his.
Right.
And that bothers me when I listen to it. And even as a teammate, you have to understand there's 53 other guys in that locker room, 45 guys that dress for the game. And every one of those guys are expected to hold one another accountable. Specifically your quarterback, because he's looked at as the alpha and the leader in that locker room and on that football field. And when you get to a certain age and a certain sense of entitlement, you feel like I am the exception. I get it. I played bad. It won't happen again. Well, Phillip Rivers, it continues to happen. It's either he's phenomenal or he's terrible. And when you look at the landscape of what the Los Angeles Chargers are and what they want to be, Phillip Rivers is not in their future plans. He has not gotten them to any AFC championship wins, which would equate to Super Bowl appearances. And so if I've looked at his resume and I see his body of work, has he been great over the course of his time? Yes. But has he gotten us to where we desire to go? No. And so moving forward, I have to make a decision that may seem a little bit distasteful for fans, specifically our own, saying let's move on from Phillip Rivers and decide to write a new chapter and get on with our quarterbacking position.
And listen, life comes at you fast. 2 weeks ago, the Chargers, despite no Derwin James all year, despite their excellent young kicker Michael Badgley being injured for over the first half of the season, they were sitting there okay, 4-5 with games coming up against Oakland and Kansas City. Had they won those last 2 games, the team leading the AFC West would be the Los Angeles Chargers. They'd be 6-5. The Chiefs be 6-5. Raiders be 5-5. They had 2 divisional games upcoming in order to be able to control their own destiny. And it's not just that they lost. They lost directly because Rivers was terrible. They outplayed Kansas City last night. The Chiefs were very fortunate to get that win. He tried to turn the ball over seemingly every possession of the second half. He did turn it over twice, and the 1 touchdown drive, he threw a perfect pass to Honey Badger, who plays for the Chiefs.
Oh, my gosh.
And Honey Badger just dropped it. And it was the terrible play by him, who had a great game. But and against the Raiders, he threw 3 picks. right now, the only team in their division that you feel better about the Chargers quarterback situation than is Denver, and that's because Denver hasn't had a quarterback in a half-decade. And so Tyrod Taylor's the backup. He's a more than capable backup. I would be in the Cam Newton market if the Carolina Panthers are going to make the mistake of moving on from him. Everyone is saying Chicago or Tennessee, and those make sense. But the Chargers also need an influx of star power, given that they're trying to get the eyeballs of Los Angeles and the football eyeballs away from the Rams, while the Rams are seemingly going downhill at the moment. So if Phillip Rivers is their quarterback next season, they will regret it. Now, money will be, he will be. I think they'll probably give him a 1-year extension.
Because there's a sentimental pull for a guy. The same thing that we saw happened in New York with Eli Manning.
And it was a disaster for the Giants.
It was a disaster. It was a disaster for the Giants.
I think it's more than a sentimental pull. You have to be able to fill in and at least get that level of play that he's provided you and give yourself a chance, and I don't think you find that right away.
I'm a big Tyrod Taylor fan. I loved what he did in Buffalo. I think he's more than capable if given the chance, good coaching and a good team around him to be able to do it again.
He certainly wouldn't turn the ball over 7 times in 2 weeks.
You wouldn't turn the ball over. No, maybe you would. Coming,
I ain't playing no
as I said
quarterback, man.
It wasn't true. Coming up, can the Cowboys continue to win if Zeke doesn't get back to his MVP form? That is next. This is First Things First.
They pay me enough here, and nobody hits me.